My nephew is my son Part 1. I have been in love with Sylvia, my sister-in-law, ever since I've met her. She was my brother's girlfriend when we met and now they have been married for 5 years. I think she knows, I've never really told her. But I think she knows. She has always been nice to me, but because she is always with Jack, my brother, I keep it nice and neat. But she knows how I feel about her. 3 years ago we were all on a vacation in the Caribbean, I forgot which island, with a family and a few friends. One night I was drunk, she helped me to my room and we slept together. She didn't stay, right after we were finished she left, so that her husband doesn't know. Ever since then she pretended it never happened. But I understand. She is still married to Jack. Not long after she announced she was pregnant. She even said that the child was conceived on that vacation. So I am sure he is mine. My nephew was born and he looks like me, same eyes, shape of the face. And Sylvia knows. I gave her hints that I also knew. Like picking up my nephew and saying something like he really looks like his father and she always says that he does. I am sure that is Sylvia's way of telling me that Dylan is my son. He is 2 now. I always buy him gifts and play with him every chance I get. Even if he doesn't know I am his father, he deserves the love of his father. A few days ago there was a family dinner and Jack and Sylvia told us there is a possibility that they would move back to her home country. She had an excellent career opportunity and Jack is also looking for work in his field there. They haven't made the decision yet, but are leaning to it. Something in me broke. Knowing that she will leave me and take my son, I just blurted out. "You can't leave and take my son with you." Everyone looked at me and then they started laughing, thinking it is a joke. I got pissed and shouted, "You are not taking my son now." They understood I was serious. Sylvia asked, "What are you talking about? You know Dylan is mine." "I know Jack wasn't supposed to know, but I will not allow you to take my son away from me." Everyone was stunned and slowly looking from me to Sylvia. She was looking at me stunned, unable to respond. So I continued, "I know he's mine. You even admitted it. You said he was conceived in that island we went to. What's the name again? We slept together, so I know he's mine." After what felt like an eternity she shouted at me, "How dare you? Dylan is Jack's son. Jack is my husband, he is the only one I have been with. And even if he wasn't, you of all people would never be the father of Dylan or any child of mine." I couldn't believe the anger coming from her. I think I deserved that for exposing our secret. It still hurts hearing her say that. But she left me with no choice. I'm not losing my son. That day did not end well. Jack yelled at me and even punched me. My parents were also angry and told me to leave. So I did. I don't know what to do next, but I'm not losing my son. Part 2. My brother-in-law is destroying my marriage. Part 2. Part 1. I don't understand how we got here. A few days ago, I had a perfect marriage, and now my husband is staying with his parents. All because of his delusional brother. You choose your husband, not his family. If I could, I would never have chosen Andrew as my brother-in-law. I've always known Andrew had a thing for me, but I kept him at a polite distance. He is the brother of my husband. If he wasn't, I would have had a larger distance between us. Jack and I got married 5 years ago, and we now have a 2-year-old boy, Dylan. He looks just like his father. We had a perfect life, and it looked like it would be even better, before everything crashed down. A few weeks ago, I was contacted by a very big company in my home country, Ireland. My high school bestie is leaving her job because of a disability. A year ago, she was in a car accident and lost her leg just below the knee. She has tried to do the job but it became too much for her. At first, the company did not want to let her go. They tried to let her work from home, but in the position she needs to travel and present to clients a lot. So they came to a compromise. She stays as an external consultant, still using her experience and skills but in an external capacity, and she can recommend her replacement. She recommended me as her replacement. I'm on the very top of her shortlist. This is a great opportunity for us. Of course, I did not commit without talking to my husband. He loved the idea, but because he does not want to be a stay-at-home dad, he started looking for a job in his field there. So we are looking at the opportunities before committing. But of course, we did want to share this news with my in-laws. And that is where everything went to hell. We announced the plans, and Andrew all of a sudden said I couldn't take his son. For some reason, he is under the impression that Dylan is his son. I really don't understand how he got it into his head. After he and Jack yelled at each other, he said that he and I had sex on the family vacation in Barbados. It is true that Dylan was conceived on Barbados, but I never slept with Andrew, not then, not ever. I was with Jack every night. Dylan is Jack's son. I stake my life on it. I kept telling Andrew that we never slept together and there is no way Dylan is his. But he is convinced that Dylan is his and that I know and hinted it to him. I have no idea where he gets this from. Even if Jack was not in my life, I would never sleep with Andrew. Jack punched Andrew, and his parents told Andrew to leave. Jack was furious, so was I. We went home, and there Jack kept asking me questions. I thought he believed me, but the more questions he asked, the more I felt like there was doubt in his mind. I told him I was telling the truth. I never slept with Andrew, and even if I was single, I would never sleep with Andrew. I don't like him, never have, never will. He creeps me out. And then Jack broke my heart. He told me he wants a paternity test. Because he doesn't know what to believe anymore. I told him it hurts me that he asks this from me, but I will give him what he wants. Dylan is his, and I always thought he knew that. Asking for the paternity test is hurting me, but if it will solve this mess, I will agree to it. And if that wasn't enough, Jack packed his bags and told me he was staying with his parents for a couple of days. I couldn't respond, all I did was cry. Andrew is destroying my marriage. Part 3. I want my son and my queen. Part 3. Part 2. I heard that Jack was at our parents'. This is the perfect time for me to talk to Sylvia. I know yesterday was not supposed to happen this fast, but I just couldn't let her leave with my son. So I went to her home to talk. About Dylan, about us. That did not go well. She refused to open the door and kept yelling at me to leave. I don't get it. It was just the two of us. We could be honest with each other and talk about our son. We don't need to keep up this charade anymore. We could finally be open about our future. Why is she not letting me in? Why is she yelling at me? Why did she threaten to call the police? Through the door she yelled that I ruined her marriage, but it doesn't count if she was meant to be with me. Her marriage to Jack was always going to be temporary. I know she knows that. She is supposed to be with me, that is why we had Dylan. I get that she cares about Jack and doesn't want to hurt him that bad. But you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. Jack is a good egg. I left before she called the police. I tried calling her and texting her, but I'm blocked. I think she is taking this act too far. How are we going to be together if she keeps me away from her and our child? Now is the time get our plans back on track. She should understand that now that they know she can drop the act. Jack and my parents will have to accept that she and I are meant to be together. Our future is together. I got a call from Jack yelling at me to stay away from his wife. I think he is starting to understand that soon she will be my wife and he is trying to hold on as long as possible. I don't blame him, she is just perfect. But is it about time she and I get together? I've been on the sidelines out of respect for him. But it is time for me to take my rightful place as Sylvia's husband. He has to understand that his time with her is over. He should be grateful for the time he had with her, but he should also understand that that was temporary and it is time for me to be with Sylvia. There was some good in the day. I bought some toys for Dylan and some beautiful earrings for Sylvia that I saw. I can start threading her like the queen she is now that we know she will become my queen. Part 4. I'm afraid of my brother-in-law. Part 4. Part 3. I want my husband back. I am afraid here alone. Yesterday, Andrew came by, but I didn't let him in. For my luck Dylan was with my friend, his godmother, who takes him for a day every so often. Andrew wanted to talk, but I was home alone. And I do not want him near me. Andrew is ruining my marriage. I always kept him at a distance. Why does he think that we had anything? Why did he think I would ever sleep with him? I love Jack. I've always loved only Jack. Andrew was always his brother who creeped me out. Andrew only went away after I threatened to call the police. I called Jack, begging him to come back home. I told him about Andrew coming, that I didn't open the door but that he is scaring me. I'm afraid here alone with Dylan. I told him I would move to the guest room if he wants, give him the space he needs, just don't leave me alone. Jack was home in minutes. As soon as he walked in, I embraced him, crying and refusing to let go. I think that is when he understood how much Andrew scared me. Even with everything going on, we still love each other. I forgive him for asking for the paternity test. I will still do it. I forgive him for going away. He came back when I needed him. I tried to stop him, but Jack called Andrew and yelled at him to leave me alone. After calming down, we sat down and talked. About Andrew. I told him why I was always creeped out by him. He always looked at me in this weird way. Until the dinner, he never did anything inappropriate, but he was always around me at family events, etc. Jack admitted that he did see Andrew being around me, but he was not aware that I was uncomfortable. He thought it was just Andrew being Andrew. I told him that I will cut Andrew out of my life forever. If that means I'm missing family events because he is there, so be it. The only thing I want to send him is the result of the paternity test. Maybe that will help him wake up from his delusion. Jack took a minute and said that he understands, and while he is leaning to do the same, this is his brother and he needs to at least try to reason with him. True to my word, I wanted to move to the guest room, but Jack asked me to stay. It felt safe falling asleep in his arms. Part 5. My nephew is not my son. Part 5. Part 4. Jack sent me the results of a DNA test. It says that Jack is Dylan's father. I'm sure it was a surprise to Sylvia too. And I'm not even sure I can trust the results. They never asked me to submit anything. Maybe because we are brothers the tests gave the wrong results. So how can they be sure Dylan is not mine? This does not change my feelings for Sylvia. Just that Jack will always be in our lives because he is Dylan's bio father. I still believe Sylvia and I can have our happy ever after even with Jack in the picture. He just has to do the honorable thing and step aside. He has to understand that his time is over. This is the end of her and Jack, so even if Dylan is not mine, I will raise him like he is. Jack has to find a way to be in his son's live with me as Dylan's loving stepdad. I see a bright future for all of us. It is irritating that Jack doesn't want to let go. And I understand that Sylvia is trying to let him down easy. But I have been patient enough. It is time for her to rip off the band-aid and leave him for me. I drove past their house a couple of times, but Jack is always there or nobody is home. I am losing my patience. Sylvia needs to break up with Jack. She needs to end it. It is our time and Jack is only getting in the way. She needs to unblock me so I can talk to her. So we can make our plans. And if Jack is forcing her, I need to be there to protect her. Jack cannot stand in our way. Part 6. I know the truth about my brother-in-law. Part 6. Part 5. The DNA tests are back. And the results were no surprise to me. Dylan is Jack's son. When Jack asked for the paternity test, he wanted to test it against Andrew, but I refused. I told him he would not insult me like that. He's already hurting me by asking for the test. He would not insult me by testing if Andrew was the father. The test is to prove that Jack is the father, not to give Andrew a sliver of hope that his delusion could be true. Jack agreed, and now we have the proof that Jack is the father. Jack unblocked Andrew long enough to send him the results. He also sent him a text to never come near us ever again. Petra, a friend of mine, confessed something to Jack and me. She slept with Andrew on that vacation. She brought him to his room, and it happened. She told us that he kept calling her Sylvia. It freaked her out so much she was afraid to talk to anyone about it. She only told us after we reached out to our friend to tell them not to give Andrew any information about us. She was not with her now boyfriend. I don't know why, but he hates Andrew. It is so bad she can't openly admit she slept with Andrew. Her boyfriend knows, and even if it happened long before they got together, it almost caused them to break up. She is afraid to tell Andrew it was her, because it could end her now relationship. While she did not outright say it, both Jack and I have the feeling it was not consensual. I can understand why Andrew got confused in his drunken state. She does look a lot like me, especially back then. We have the same height, are both slim, and while she is a blonde, back then she dyed her hair red like mine. Jack and I had an emotional talk. He is sorry for ever doubting me and will do anything to earn his redemption. I told him if he continues to be the loving man I know he is, I forgive him. He hurt me when he asked for the paternity test and when he left to stay with his parents, but he ran back to his family as soon as I told him we needed him. He is human, I love him. And I forgive him. We do need work as a couple, but that is what we still are, a married couple. About Andrew. He is still trying to contact me. I get texts from new numbers, and he is urging me to leave Jack for him. He said he will take care of Dylan even if he is not his. I'm getting more scared of him. He even wants to talk to Jack to make him leave peacefully, and not so peacefully if he has to. Part 7. Where is she? Part 7. Part 6. My world is gone. Sylvia is gone. Jack took her away from me. He took Sylvia and Dylan away from me. Why can't he accept that she and I are supposed to be together? He had his time. My time is now. I still don't believe that he's Dylan's father. I wanted to do the test again. He must have photoshopped the results. But now he took my Sylvia and Dylan away from me. He ran with my Sylvia and my son, so I can't prove he is my son anymore. The restraining order was his doing, I know it. Sylvia would never get one against me. And because it wasn't her, I know I wouldn't get in trouble if I ignored it. Those cops that took me away refused to understand. And now Jack has taken her away. If those cops did their job and listened to me, I would be with her, at least I would know where she is. And Jack would have spent the night in jail. And I would have taken my future wife and son away. Now I don't know what to do. I don't know where Jack took her. I don't know where to look for her. Did he take her to her home country? I don't think so, That is her dream, not his. This wasn't her doing. He probably took her somewhere he wants to go. I don't know where to look. I remember him talking about that country with the swords. Did he take her there? Wait, Canada, he also talked about Canada. Or did they go back to Barba, the island? What about the land with the lepra? The little people and the rainbow? I need to find her. Sylvia needs me. My parents don't talk to me anymore. Just like Jack, they don't understand. I tried to make them understand, but they won't listen. They even told me that if Sylvia loved me, she would have left Jack already. Don't they understand he was holding her against her will all this time? Why are tickets so expensive? Can I take a gun with me? I have to save Sylvia. Part 8 Final. We are safe from my brother-in-law, for now. Part 8. Part 7. We moved to Ireland. We did not take the time to prepare as much as we wanted. But the situation with Andrew was out of control. He kept texting and calling me and Jack to tell him that we would be together. Every time we blocked him, he came up with another way to send a message. We can't prove it was him, but there are bullet holes in Jack's car. Jack's best friend, who always loved that car, doesn't want to buy it now that it has been targeted, but he will help sell it. Andrew was seen around Dylan's daycare. He didn't try anything there, but knowing he was hanging around there scared us. He ignored the restraining order I have against him. We had to call the police when he came to my work. That was the last time we saw him. Luckily, my boss understood the situation and agreed to hasten the process. I left my job very fast, but still in good standing with everyone. Jack was also lucky. His boss was not so understanding, but the HR department sorted it all out. We were renting and still have 6 months on the lease. My in-laws told us they would sort it out. I have accepted the big job offer. Jack is looking for a job now. It is a struggle. Dylan misses his friends from daycare, but he is making new friends here. We don't have social media anymore. We are in contact with Jack's parents, but at the moment, it is one-sided. We can contact them, they can't contact us. If they think it is safe to do so, we will share our contact information with them. They were the only ones we said goodbye to, the only ones we saw just before we left. We moved to a different country, but the fear remains. Jack and I always share our locations. This is not a trust issue. This is because I am afraid. I want Jack to always know where I am in case Andrew finds me. Dylan has a watch with a tracker. At the moment, we are going through the process of getting a gun here in Ireland. It is a long and strict process. Edit. We contacted Jack's parents earlier than planned because Dylan wanted to see his grandpa. We just learned that Andrew left the country, but nobody knows where he went.